Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira is officially set for the BMF belt. This is one of those fights that feels bigger than just the title itself. Two legends, two all-time greats, and very real implications for the lightweight title picture. This isn't just a stylistic fun matchup, this is pretty much a legacy fight. And I think it's fair to say that Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira are top 5 most beloved UFC fighters, active fighters, probably of all time. These are like fan favorites, right? I don't even know where to rank them in terms of fan favorite. They're right there with each other. So it's gonna have a sad ending, especially if someone gets finished. Honestly speaking, this is one of the most confusing breakdowns and predictions I've had to make, again, because I like both guys and they're fun fighters, but the stylistic matchup is actually more complicated than it may seem. So in this video, we're gonna break down several things. We're gonna break down the fight, each fighter's recent run, their styles, and then we're going to really dig into how they match up. That way we'll be able to determine who wins this fight. And like I said, the more I studied this fight, the more I watched tape, the more complicated it got. So let's get into it. Max has built one of the most impressive resumes in UFC history. For nearly a decade, he ruled the featherweight division. Multiple defenses, historic win streak, elite competition. He cemented himself as one of the greatest 145-pound fighters of all time. And look at his recent losses. Alexander Volkanovski, Ilia Topuria. Well, yeah, that's it. No random setbacks, no losses to mid-tier competition. When Max loses, it's to champions or future champions. Legends, arguably. And when he wins, he beats killers. Yair Rodriguez, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, across 2 divisions. And here's what's interesting about Max Holloway. The move to lightweight hasn't slowed him down at all. If anything, he actually looks stronger at lightweight. He looks more confident, more physically filled out, if I'm being honest. At 155, he doesn't look undersized anymore. He looks natural. At 145, he looked, like his head was bigger than his body. But at 155, he still has that look a little bit, but he looks more filled out. You get what I'm saying? And for Max, the durability is still there. The cardio is still elite. But now the shots seem to carry more weight. He has more power, and that matters against someone like Charles Oliveira. Stylistically, Max is a pure striker. He's not a grappling specialist, but he's not easy to control either. His takedown defense is actually sharp. His awareness is high. His scrambles are intelligent. But where Max separates himself, it's absolutely on the feet. All right, he's one of the best volume boxers in MMA history. Not just active, not just busy, efficient volume. He layers combinations, he builds rounds, he reads timing, he adjusts mid-fight better than almost anyone. He's not a one-shot power puncher. All right, he doesn't need to be. That's not his style. He drowns you in volume. Round after round, he breaks you down mentally before he finishes you physically. And for years, he's had one of the greatest chins the sport has ever seen. Rarely ever been dropped, almost never truly hurt. And even when he's clipped, he stays composed. And that's just Max Holloway's style. That composure right there is going to matter a lot in this fight. On the other side, we got Charles "The Bronx" Oliveira. Now, if Max Holloway is one of the greatest featherweights ever, Charles is one of the greatest lightweights ever. Personally, I think he's had the most fun title run in the UFC. Charles Oliveira's career has been a roller coaster, honestly speaking. Early hype setbacks, doubts about his durability, questions about his heart, if he's tough, and then the redemption came, the dominance came. Charles holds a record of the most submissions in UFC history, and that alone tells you what kind of threat he is. His jiu-jitsu is the definition of elite, opportunistic, creative, absolutely violent. He can attack your neck, your arm, your leg from positions most fighters don't even think about. And it's not just technique, it's his confidence in that skill set. He believes he can finish anyone in the ground, and that belief changes how opponents fight him. Here's what made Charles Oliveira truly dangerous over the last few years: the striking. He doesn't just grapple, all right? He walks people down. He throws knees up the middle, sharp elbows in the pocket, hard kicks to the body, and he punches with bad intentions. He has dropped some of the toughest fighters in the division. I mean, Justin Gaethje said that's the hardest he's been hit after they fought. And the thing about Charles is when he hurts you, he swarms, all right? He doesn't hesitate at all. And here is the key trait to Oliveira. He is comfortable in chaos. He has been dropped before. That's what he's known for, but he gets back up. He's one of the only fighters in MMA who can fall to his back and still be the most dangerous man in the room. A lot of fighters fall to their back when they can't stand anymore, they're exhausted, and they want to fish for a submission. Charles is literally the most dangerous when he's on his back. And when he's in that position, you try to follow him recklessly, you might not come back up. And that right there could define this fight. These two fought over a decade ago, back when they were prospects, all right? The fight ended almost immediately due to a freak injury to Oliveira. It never really played out. We never really saw it come to fruition. And, that was the conclusion back then. But now we get the evolved versions. This isn't a prospect versus prospect, all right? These guys are two legends in the game. Two fighters who have already built Hall of Fame resumes. And now they're adding another chapter to their career. Both guys have a common opponent, of course, Ilia Topuria. Both came up short by the same means. Both had moments, all right? And both remain right at the top of the sport. Charles Oliveira rebounded strong with his performance against Gamrot. Max has proven he belongs at lightweight. Neither guy looks washed, all right? Neither guy looks slow. And this is prime versus prime, or as close as it can be realistically in MMA. When you look at Max Holloway, elite volume, elite cardio, range control, pressure, damage accumulation over time. He overwhelms his opponents with combinations and pace. Charles Oliveira, more explosive, sharper counters, dangerous knees and elbows, big moment creator. He's improved defensively, but he's not matching Max output minute for minute. That's just not happening. And if this stays standing for extended stretches, the edge slightly goes to Max Holloway. But, and this is important, Charles doesn't need to win minutes. He just needs moments. That's how he is. And his moments are violent. And this is where things shift a little bit. Charles Oliveira is one of the greatest submission artists in MMA history. His guard is absolutely dangerous, all right? Triangles, arm bars, rear naked chokes, front chokes, and scrambles. He can finish from chaos. Max, he's a very good defensive grappler. Strong takedown defense and a smart scrambler. But he's not threatening off his back, all right? He's not hunting submissions. If this becomes an extended grappling exchange, I think Charles Oliveira would then have a heavy advantage, not slightly, heavily. Now, when it comes to their fight IQ, Max Holloway has elite pacing. He builds fights round by round. He makes adjustments better than almost anyone. And then when he goes the distance, his output in round 4 and 5 is actually insane. He actually increases his output in each round. Now, Charles, on the other hand, or contrast, is extremely opportunistic and he's very smart. He capitalizes on mistakes. His gas tank is very good, but against high volume pressure over 5 rounds, that's where Max has historically separated himself. Slight edge in cardio to Holloway. Both are championship level thinkers, so the fight IQ, it's kind of equal. So we got to talk about what actually decides this fight. Scenario 1, Max Holloway keeps it standing, all right? If he controls the range, establishes rhythm, builds combinations, he likely wins rounds on volume and control, the way he always wins. Scenario 2, Oliveira gets on the mat consistently. If Charles secures takedowns or forces scrambles, he becomes a massive threat, like I said. One mistake, one scramble, and the fight is pretty much over. Scenario 3, and this might be the most important, so pay attention. Oliveira mixes the striking with takedowns. That's his best path. Land hard shots, force Max to shell, then shoot. Make Max hesitate. because hesitation kills volume, and volume is Max's weapon. Although that's a really hard ask. Both guys have championship experience. Like I said, both have been in wars. Neither is intimidated by the moment. All right, they're past that. But here's the real question. Does the BMF belt change their approach? Does that symbolic title push them toward some kind of firefight? Or does one of them decide, you know, legacy over entertainment? All right, discipline over chaos. This might come down to instinct versus structure. This is one of the most 50-50 fights I've ever broken down. I have gone back and forth multiple times, and I may switch my pick right when they're making their walk to the octagon. I'm not lying to you. I don't know what to tell you. That's how close it is. Now, one thing I can't fail to mention, I don't know if it's a hot take, in my opinion, this is a stylistic nightmare for Holloway, because he has to fight discipline for 25 minutes, but he can do that, right? He can't follow Oliveira in a reckless manner. He can't be comfortable in scrambles. All right, when he's pointing to the octagon, Charles is gonna take him down. It's also dangerous for Oliveira, man, because if he can't implement the grappling consistently, he could get drowned in volume. He will get drowned in volume. And over 5 rounds, bruh, that pace breaks people, man, and it can happen to Oliveira. So this is what I'll say, man. We are witnessing something special. The UFC doesn't always give us matchups like this, right? While both fighters are still at the top of their game. Like I said, I've gone back and forth with this fight more than almost any breakdown I've done. But as of right now, I'm leaning towards Max Holloway, man. I'm leaning towards Max, and here's why. I believe Max's striking volume is a bigger problem than Oliveira's threats. Now, when I say that, you have to understand something important. In order for Charles Oliveira to be a serious threat on the mat, he has to take you down first. And Max Holloway has a very strong defensive grappling skill set. His takedown defense is discipline. His scrambles are smart, and most importantly, he doesn't panic. He just doesn't. Can Oliveira land takedowns? Absolutely he can, but his entries are not the cleanest. They're just not. He's explosive, you know, he's aggressive, but technically speaking, his shots can be telegraphed. He really can. And against someone like Holloway's awareness and footwork, that matters, man. I don't think Max plays into Charles's game the way someone like Gamrot did. I don't see Max rushing into scrambles recklessly. I don't see him diving into the guard chasing the finish. I think he stays composed. I think he forces Charles to reset. And over time, the volume starts to build. This might be the fight that goes a distance. And if he does, I trust Max cardio more. All right, I trust his pacing more, and I think Charles slows down before Max does. Not because Oliveira has bad cardio, but because dealing with Holloway's pressure for 25 minutes is absolutely exhausting. And there's another factor here. Oliveira can absolutely hold his own on the feet. He's dangerous, he's sharp, he throws with bad intentions, like I said, but his lack of consistent head movement, that's a problem against someone like Max, man. Max doesn't throw one shot at a time. He throws layers. And if Charles is there to be hit repeatedly for 5 rounds, that damage is going to accumulate round by round, minute by minute. And eventually that will start to show. Now, could Oliveira submit him? Of course. Absolutely. Most submissions in the UFC. Could he hurt Max and swarm him? Absolutely. That's why this fight is so freaking close. But if I had to choose today, I'm leaning towards Max Holloway by decision. High pace, high volume, smart defense, controlled chaos. And let me just clarify, when I say it's close 50-50, I mean the fight on paper. If someone gets finished, it's not 50-50. All right, it's gonna be a bad finish. Let me just make that clear. And I'll say this, man, I'm going to be sad at the end of this fight, right? Because no matter what, these two, like I said, are fan favorites, 2 legends, 2 fighters who have given us so many incredible moments. All right, if this ends in a finish, especially a violent one, it's gonna feel bittersweet. I might change my pick as late as when they're walking to the octagon. Make sure to subscribe so I'll let you know. Let me know who you got. Let me know what you think about this breakdown. Let me know what you think about this fight. Does it stay standing? Does it hit the ground early? Who controls the pace? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you want consistent UFC breakdowns every week, hit that subscribe button. All right.